It's really,
Grr.
you really like that song. You want to play it again?
Grr.
Grr, exactly.
Grr morning.
Grr morning. Oh, are we on the same page this morning?
We are.
That's funny because I was just about to ask you for tips on how to calm down when you're angry.
Okay.
Maybe we could help each other.
Yeah. Well, I had a conversation with my 15-year-old yesterday, and he got really angry, and helping him process that and deal with it. And his outlet was to quiet himself and do some pacing back and forth until his heart rate came down and the stimulus that got him in the moment was gone, and then he righted himself. Mm-hmm.
Was it another person that made him angry?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was going to be my question. When other people make you angry and there's nothing you can do about it, you can't change the situation. You can't change the other person. You can't do anything to right the wrong. There's nothing you can do but be angry.
Yeah.
How do you quell that? How do you be like, woosah, I will not punch. I will not wig out. What do you do?
You do nothing. You do nothing. You do nothing. Healthy distractions. Can't change other people.
Move on.
The more stupid we make things, the worse that it's going to get. So competent people, there's a divide between them, right? And so when the competent people have to get mixed in with all the incompetent people, it's frustrating, right?
Yes.
Almost like if you had the best quarterback on the field and he gets put on with a bunch of JVs, he's going to be very frustrated because everybody around him is just not good. So,
yeah.
But again, just like I warned everyone at the beginning, right, of AI, that here's an inevitability, right? Here's what's going to happen. Willy Wonka, stop, don't.
Wait.
Yes.
Stop, don't.
But you keep rewarding incompetence and you get more incompetence 100%. It's just math.
So if you had to spend your day surrounded by incompetence and you knew there was no end in sight, like this is your life and it'll be like this tomorrow and the next day and the next day, what do? You start drinking more? Do you like buy a straitjacket? Like what do you do?
Nothing. Like literally nothing.
Nothing until your head explodes.
See, hope says that one day, right?
One day.
Just one day. And
one day it'll be
a competent person will be revealed. All right, so let's talk about politics.
Speaking of incompetence.
Yeah. So Hubbard was our new data center thing. I want to talk about this because of in our area, especially, we have a really incompetent culture, right? And one of the first, and this wasn't the first, but this is the most loud one to me. There was a company called Falcon Transport in Austintown, right? Okay. And they started losing money, and they were ready to do their union contract, and the company said, hey, we're bloated on the labor side. We got to really cut expenses because we're losing money. And the union was like, no, we're not going to cut the contract. You're going to pay up. And the company said, well, no, I'm serious. Like, we'll go out of business if we don't cut our labor costs. And then he was like, tough shitski, right? And the company's like, well, you do realize that if you don't cut expenses, you're not gonna have a job.
You'll be gone.
You're gonna be gone. Would you like 0 or less? And then he was like, we'll take 0, right? And so they didn't accept it. Falcon Transport shut their doors, and all of those people were unemployed, right?
Well, it's not 0. They'll just go get it from the government and say, I got laid off.
Short term, yes, but still, that mindset. So we'll go back to the data centers, right? We used to be a country. We were an opulent country. Do you know why we were an opulent country? Because we had industry that was creating steel, which built everything, right? And so we had more money than we could spend. And so we did things like great works, right? We built big buildings and the Hoover Dam and the Panama Canal. And we were allowed to have innovators do big things because we had more than we needed, right? We had creation of value here. And what happened was like entrepreneurship and business created the prosperity, right? And then useless government people came in and said, oh, there's some orange trees over there. Let's start picking that shit.
Yeah.
And then government and people in politics, they don't know how to create value. They're the opposite. They're the fleecers, right? Not the creators. And so the people allowed government to get so big that they had to pick so much that not only did we waste through all of our prosperity, then we broke it even, and then we went into massive amount of debt. So even if we wanted to build a Hoover Dam, nobody would support something like that because we don't have extra. We gave it all away to the function of government, to other countries, and we got apathetic about what it even means to create things.
The people that knew how to make money had to then give it to the spenders.
And all the government did was figure out new ways of taking more money from people. They created regulations that basically just throttled everything. It takes 10 years to put up something meaningful, and permits and red tape. We tax people into oblivion. So now the government is so the entrepreneurs in the steel industry during the Industrial Revolution, their power control and amount of revenue switched over to government, which creates nothing, right? And they are running out of innovators willing to take it on the chin from this awful foundation. They had a great foundation. The church gave us a moral and ethical foundation. The capitalists and the entrepreneurs during that age gave us the models that create great value and build big things. And then government's like, we'll just keep taking it until there's nothing left to take.
Government's like, not on my watch. We're going to go ahead and interject here.
Yeah. So, but I bring these businesses because in my brain, like if you're in an area that really big industry won't even give you the time of day because you've kicked them in the nuts so many different times, that why bother with Northeast Ohio when I could go to Tennessee and they will embrace me. They'll send me all the labor I want. They won't be complicated. Right.
Yeah.
And fight with me for decades in order for me to do this. I'll go to the easier place. The hard place can deal with it themselves. So big industry comes in that's going to be as big as the steel industry was, right? Mm-hmm. And not only we are not forming that industry here, we're not like participating in its formation, we're even resistant to the people who want to just come here and put their stuff in, right? Yeah. We've had two interests in data centers, one in Lordstown and one in Hubbard. Both of them, they're actively trying to prohibit these things from coming to town. Like, it drives me absolutely crazy because the citizens are all old. They've already got there. So really what stifles innovation is apathy and people who are selfish, right?
Yeah.
So if something wants to come to town and you're like, well, what's in it for me? Oh, nothing's in it for you. We're going to create, 100 jobs and we're going to participate in the broader economy, and it could attract other people in this industry. What's the downside? It might make some noise, right? It might create some traffic congestion in your deal. Well, the old people are like
my small, quiet town. Yeah. And I don't
so
want...
I don't, I'm not going to benefit. I'm not going to go take a job there. Right. And yeah, they'll contribute to the tax base and all, but they're going to create traffic and maybe some noise. Screw them. I don't need them. Nothing's in it for me. So I'm going to actively sign petitions to make sure an industry doesn't come to town. It just drives me nuts.
So really, it's not even then anyone involved with like economic development. It's the people.
Yes.
The citizens themselves are like,
economic development. Can you imagine being a developer here that goes to other parts of the country and begs and pleads with industry to say, give us a chance, come here. And then they come in saying, okay, we'll give you a look-see. And then they deal with the citizenry and the incompetent government and that basically sticks a middle finger up and thinks they're better than the company that wants to come here. I would say, F you. I would not put myself on the line to court industry coming here when I'm going to be embarrassed by the reception that they're going to get.
Well, silver lining, do you think then it will improve once the certain demographic is gone?
Well, I don't know that the generation following them knows even, at least that demographic has a position on things because they're doing selfishly. They're at least deciding something. The next generation have been mind numbed by, academia and high schools and the education system, where they're taught how to think and taught what to think, not how to think. And so they're not going to like be a participant in creation. Like, name an entrepreneur in our area, like
you
other than me. Name one.
I don't know.
Okay. Every city should have a nameable entrepreneur that creates things, because there's different levels of this. So you have the real risk takers, the entrepreneurs. The entrepreneur is someone who undertakes something that doesn't make a lot of sense to one another, to anyone else, right? And then you have the opportunists that are underneath entrepreneurs. Like, they won't take the major risk when they don't have a sure thing, right? But after there is a sure thing, then they'll jump in. And those are what we refer to now as today's entrepreneurs, as just opportunists. And they give entrepreneurs a little bit of a bad name because, they want the benefit without the risk.
Yeah.
And it's a lazy entrepreneur as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, because my brain started to go to like names like Cafaro,
Yes.
because you hear that everywhere
Right.
and on everything. But really, that's different.
Those are opportunists. Those are people that maybe at a certain point they use an entrepreneurial spirit to get there. But when you name an entrepreneur, someone willing to do a risky thing that's not a for sure thing and do it anyway, and even fight on the condemnation of other people, and then it becomes successful, that the people that follow, that take no risk in it, maybe some capital risk, maybe reputational risk, sure, but there's small risk compared to the people who are like, I'm going to build a building. You can't build a building there. Yeah, I'm going to do it anyway. And I'm going to put my money up and I'm going to attract some investors and I'm going to do it. Well, that's not going to happen. It's not going to work. You're it's a fool's errand. And then they do it like, oh, wow, can I get a suite in that building?
Yeah.
That's the difference.
And then they'll look at you making money from the building and go, oh, must be nice.
It's exactly right. But that's what we become, where we take a good thing and we boil it into something that now is an awful thing. So, okay, let's contrast this. So we've had a couple of opportunities that came here, like Amazon gave us a look and we chased them away. The Sobe thermal plant right now, they wanted to do stuff here and we chased them away. We have the data center requests, we chased them away. But then we have the Joseph Company gets a really good deal and gets a couple of buildings, some tax abatements, and they are embraced. So what's the difference between an Amazon coming to town and a Chilcan plant there? How did that one work and nobody chased it away? And how did the other one not? If you were to take guesses, you don't know, I don't know, but how would, if you were to guess, what would you say? How did that come to fruition?
I don't know much about that business, but my brain's saying things like, well, are there people here with that skill set and they feel more comfortable? Like, I don't have to learn anything. I already have this skill set, or, oh, it's going to be in an area that I don't care. It's not in my backyard to be an eyesore for me. They want to go over there. So by all means, like, I don't know.
I'm taking some guesses here. Is if everybody in our area has a what's in it for me, because we've got great union mentality. It's more about what I'm getting than what I'm giving. Then if I came to town and I wanted to make sure that I could operate, right? All the people that decide whether or not I can do it or not, I'm going to make sure that I have payments in their checking account, right? So when they ask the question, what's in it for me? It's perfectly described by either the money that I'm giving them or the benefit that I'm giving them personally. So it's basically, in order to do business here, you've got to have a payoff.
Yeah, Jerry says Chilcan was tied to Trestle and his people.
So if it's got to be done. So if you're like, okay, I want you to, company XYZ, I want you to give Youngstown a chance. All you've got to do is bribe all the officials and done deal. And they're like, if I go to Tennessee, they're just going to know the value of me coming to town. I'm not going to have to, just saying that a mayor embraced innovation, right?
Yeah.
Is going to get them elected. So when they say, what's in it for me? I'm going to say, you're going to become really popular because I'm going to create 100 jobs and put a bunch of money into your economy. right? Yeah. That's the way real cities should work, right? Or maybe Tennessee's doing payoffs too. I don't know. Yeah. But it seems like we always stumble on this. The people that don't create a direct benefit to the people in control, the people in control can make it miserable for you and almost not done. Couple that then with a bunch of brain dead voters who will sign a petition to keep you out for no real good reason. Like, blows my mind.
This is a little different, but making me think of something, a discussion I was in last night. My son had a baseball game and we were at Poland. We were at the Poland fields right there on 170. And we're sitting there at the fields watching, and I look around and I realize the banners that sponsors buy to sponsor those fields or games or whatever are all facing in towards the field, away from the people. And I was like, what's the point of all these ads? You can't even see them. And we kept looking, and it's like, well, I guess if you sit over there, you can kind of see these ones, but I can't see those. And I said, all of these banners are backwards. Wouldn't the people see the advertisements? And somebody said they're not sure, but they think what may have happened is there was an area that complained about eyesores, different banners and ads and things, and they don't want the eyesore in their town. So they said maybe they were required to turn it all white so you don't have this eyesore that is advertising when you drive by. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know why.
Was there a road close by?
It just 170. Yeah, right there.
So at Sharon Speedway, okay, so they have in the corners, they have those same billboard advertisements. And because it was visible from the road, they had to cover up and put blinders so people from the road couldn't see the advertisement. It has to be contained by the viewers that are on that field.
Why? You're getting more of a value than you paid for? Is that it? Or
interesting.
I don't know why they paid to be there so that everyone there can see.
Well, if I talk to a city official, it'd probably be like, you don't want to create a distraction for drivers reading an advertisement. But I think it would be more like, what's the city getting from?
We have billboards, we have yard signs. I littered the roadways.
I'm telling you that that is congruent with our conversation here. It is dumb. Okay, so like on your property, do you think you own it?
Not really, I guess.
You don't really own it?
I'm sure you're going to say no.
Can you do anything you want with it?
No.
Okay. What can you do?
What can I do?
What can you do?
You can build things within a certain size.
Small things,
yeah,
like without getting a permit or getting someone to sign off on it.
Yeah.
So limited amount of small construction.
Building, yeah.
Okay.
You can perform regular maintenance on it, cut it, plant things of that nature.
Gardening and whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's probably about it.
Can you put up a cell tower?
Probably not.
Can you mine?
No.
Can you just dig up the backyard and have a swamp?
No.
Okay. All right. So what is the benefit of making it so that if you buy property that the homeowner, the person that owns the property, is limited as what they can do with the property? What benefit is that?
You don't have a neighbor that's doing something dangerous or unsanitary or an eyesore or lowering your property values or
so if your neighbor put up a big windmill in the back, then that would affect you because it's right next to you.
Mm-hmm. In a way, I guess.
Okay. So in Poland, they were going to erect a cell tower, right? And so they put it before the commissioners to see whether or not they wanted to do. You know how cell towers work?
Not really.
All right. So you construct the actual tower. It costs a good penny. And then people who have antennas or radios, they can lease your antenna space. So Verizon's and T-Mobile and maybe an operator that needs radio coverage or whatever. You lease space on your tower. So the Poland was going to erect one of those. So they'd have an asset to be able to sell the radios, the space to cell phone companies for sure. That's where it's going to come from.
Yeah.
And the public voted it down. So people in Poland, maybe there's weak coverage in a certain area. But yet in Poland, no one will allow a tower to be erected for the city to be able to make money from the leasing and the coverage then be improved for the citizens of the city. Okay, so we're really the North Star is when we were in an innovative state, right? Mm-hmm. We knew that building the railroad was more important than the inconvenience of the people that had to have property taken from them and the noise from the trains from them and the people in building the Hoover Dam and doing these hard things required us to be a little less comfortable for the sake of some kind of improvement being made. Mm-hmm. And so we just described why big things we're going to say no to and small things we're going to say no to. So this reminds me of this was probably early 2000s. There was a thing called net neutrality. Do you remember that when that was going through?
That sounds familiar.
Okay. So we had innovated internet services to cable, right? And everybody had high speed. And since pretty much everybody had reliable, fast internet, more than they really needed, they were like, okay, the prices are too high. And now I want to commoditize internet so that we cap it at costs and offer it to everybody at a lower cost, right? Mm-hmm. And I was a big opponent of net neutrality because I said, we're not done yet in innovations in internet development. You cap it, and all you're going to do is say, I've got mine, right? I don't want you to go any further. I'm comfortable. I'm happy. So F the future and developing more internet for people who might require it in the future.
Yeah.
And thankfully it failed, but it was almost, I was like one of the few opponents to it because I was like, oh, you're going to make my internet cheaper? Cool. That's in it for me. I want the thing. And I'm like, no, danger, right? Mm-hmm. Don't do this thing. And that's sort of what we do is when we get to a comfortable place where we found peace, we think that there's no history or, no future ahead of it. And we want ours. We want it as best as we can be and F all of humanity if we're going to be inconvenienced. That's how pathetic we are.
Yeah, short-sighted.
Short-sighted.
Here's what I need right now. And in the future, well, that's the future's problem.
Yeah. So if when it becomes your problem, let's just say there's a visionary in this area that says we are really benefited from the Industrial Revolution, but if I took a bulldozer and scrapped everything and we had to rebuild it again, what would our area look like? Well, all of the things that only got built because we were in a prosperous time, nobody would rebuild those things because they absolutely don't make sense, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. So what would it become? We still have the same people. So what would those people construct and build today? Would it be all parking lots? Would it be, a bunch of food trucks? Like, do we have enough creators and innovators that would redo this? And would we use what once was and just refabricate what was already here, or would we go off on a different path? Right.
Yeah. I even relate to this a bit too, now that I'm older. Like I grew up in a small town, not a lot of things going on, small little businesses, few and now that I'm older, I can empathize with the idea of like, oh, it's nostalgic for me. I want to be back in a small little town with the way everything was. And that makes me feel good and safe and quiet and enjoyable. But then you realize, is that still working though? Does it work in this day and age? Or do we need something a little more innovative, something bigger, something whatever? And saying, you know what? While I appreciate the time I had in the small town feel, I could see that going forward, it's going to be very difficult to stay.
Well, who do you cater to, though? Do you cater to the nostalgic people who are done with the change thing and they just want to have no change and everything stay the same? Or do you have the young people who are like, hey, you know what? You guys are all good, but I can't buy a house because there's no more being developed. You might be all right, but I'm not. And I want to make you uncomfortable. And because I need stuff. I need a bigger economy. I need more jobs. It might disrupt what you got going on. So do you cater to you who want it to stay the same, or do you cater to me who needs some changes even if it disrupts things?
I feel like you got to kind of go to the changes. How are you going to cater to people that are like, nope, I say no, I'm good.
Well, that's what we do.
While everything's just suffers.
I almost want to do an experiment where I bring a bunch of things just to take account of how many times I get shot down and make them absurd so that nobody could ever want, like, the cure cancer, policy. It's how many people will take aim at it just because it's new, it's different, and it's not going to be accepted because it changes the status quo.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Everything we hear, hey, we may have a cure for this, or we may have a good treatment for this, or we may have found a way to avoid this. And it's like, no, that's not what doctors and science have told me. I'm good. I'm just going to follow the old stuff. And it's like, do you think there could be new stuff? Better stuff?
Yeah. And as long as you're not disrupted, you'll go along with it. But if you can invent a way how somehow it's going to cost you a convenience, you will deprive the next generation of experience and innovation for the sake of you being left unchanged. That's sad. Like I said, that it's an annoyance more for me.
Yeah.
Because I love this area, and I'll always probably do business here, but my next move is not going to be here. Like, I'm going to be operating in cities that have a better culture, a bit of business culture that embrace innovations easier, so that businesses are already hard, right? But it's even harder when you're fighting against people who don't matter in the discussion. Like, if I build a data center in Hubbard, if I can buy the space, if I can do it legally, if I can satisfy all the requirements, I don't give a two shits if your traffic gets worse than it is right now. That's a you problem. And right now, it's going to take me 2 years to do it. Figure out your traffic problem. Has nothing to do with me.
Yeah. And see, that's the thing is, if you feel stuck, surrounded by idiots, and there's nothing you can do, what's your only move? Go find people that are not idiots.
That's exactly right. Yep. You have to, you complain of place you're fishing has no fish, or you can go to a place where that's the fish you're looking for. And so, do you think, like, there's a single person here would be hurt, right, if I dated a girl elsewhere, right? If I courted another community, would there feel anybody slighted? No, I wouldn't be missed in 2 seconds, right? So I can spend a lot of energy and time trying to convince an entire populace not to be so union-minded and selfish, or I could just go to a place that's already not selfish and is already not union-minded.
Yeah. I don't mean to go back to this, but why the hell are the ads on Poland's field backwards?
Makes total sense. Brain dead people are in control.
I've got to know this.
Jonathan says, that's why I moved. Unfortunately, quality of life has exponentially improved, not only for me, but my family, wife, and kids. And we had a brain drain conference in this area like a number of years ago. And we watched this phenomenon of all young people.
Brain drain conference.
All the people that came out with specialties out of college and trade schools. They were like, hey, where do I want to operate and make money and whatever? And they were like, not Youngstown. And they would, their brains would immediately move to another marketplace once they got their education here. And this phenomenon, we're like, how do we put a stop to it, right? Well, you put a stop to it by being more appealing to the people who are leaving. You ask the person that left why they left, and they say it was XYZ. And then you go back to everybody and say, hey, they're leaving because of XYZ. Can we change it in XYZ so that they don't want to leave? That should have been the total priority. If you didn't like brain drain and all you were doing was aiding specialties and talent and aiding other communities on it, if you want to keep those people, you got to try hard. But who are we catering to? The elders of our community who don't give two shits if those people leave at all.
I was in a community down south where they were in a similar situation. How do we keep our students here once they graduate?
Be more appealing.
Yes. And one of the things was, can we bring major business to our area and work with the school system to create people that are ready to work in those areas? Like, hey, I want to bring a welding company in. It'd be great for jobs. It'd be great for our local economy, but we don't have any welders. Hey, local school system, start a welding program, make welders, and you have a job, and everything stays here. And the school system and economic development and business and entrepreneurs all work together to make things run. Do you feel like here there's more of a disconnect? Like, I'm doing my own thing and I'm doing my own thing.
The campaign that was run, right, was a stay here so you can raise a family and the cost of living is low and we have great natural resources and parks, right? Mm-hmm. And then the people that were leaving were like, I don't care about that stuff. Yes, you probably have that, but the reason that I'm moving here is, yes, I'm moving away from my family and I'm willing to. Yes, I'm giving up Mill Creek Park and I'm willing to. Mm-hmm. Because the real reason I am leaving is XYZ, and you're not listening to me. You have to create XYZ. And because we have so much brain deadedness in the area, nobody knows how to create the thing that young people with special talents, like, hey, I'm going to go to California, right? Why are you going to go to California? Well, the tech industry's there. Okay, how do we get the tech industry here? Let's whenever a tech company comes to town, let's chase them away. That'll do it. Oh, so that data center, do you think the 100 people that it employed might be someone who would have chosen Tennessee to go to, and now they're going to choose Youngstown? That would have been a great reason to stay, and we chased them away.
Yeah, and my husband and I have been talking about this because we moved away and decided to come back. And the biggest deciding factor was family. Our family's here. They're getting older. We want to be near them. We want our kids around them. So we came back for family. But then we get into this mindset of, we always thought we're going to build a house and this is where we're going to retire and live out our days and we're going to be home. And then I realized our family, the older people we came back for, will eventually be gone and mm-hmm. we will be the older family. Mm-hmm. And he's like, you realize our kids probably won't stay here.
Yes.
Like this idea of like family dinners and grandkids coming over and all that may not happen because they're going to have to go elsewhere. And we just came back for nothing. And it mm-hmm. was like, oh my God, what if we don't end up here?
Yeah. So let's just say a data center was interested. You watched it roll out where it was graceful and everybody was, embracing it and adopting it into the community. And other companies saw how easy it is to do business here and how, put it on a rail to happen. And so they come here and like every month there's a new press release about a new tech company that is coming to the area. And every kid can't wait to graduate out of school so they can work at the company that, supports the community and the community supports it. Right.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff that would happen. But if you want to write the script, how to make sure that doesn't happen, do what we're doing right now. That's exactly. And then all of your kids will move to other markets that have this stuff. Whether or not they're innovating it and developing it now is a different story. They have it. We don't. We have a specter of what we used to be. We're trying to sell that specter to the next generation. The next generation's like, it's a bunch of old people that don't know what they're talking about. They're unwilling to change. And they basically as negative as a culture as you can possibly get. I don't want anywhere near it. I want to make a bunch of money. I want to have the ability to create good things and exercise all of my potential and talents. And if you're not listening to that, then all you're doing is catering to the people who just want shit to stay the same and they're comfortable.
But if they are the roadblock and their fighting force is, well, we're going to sign a petition and say no, and then that's it. Why don't you say, I don't accept your petition. We're doing it. Why do they have the power to say, fine, then forget it. I put my foot down and the other people can't.
That's why I call it culture, because it needs to change over time. You have to have leadership that knows the principles of entrepreneurship and capitalism, and not we have a union culture here. And I'm ultra hard on unions because they change the mental wiring in people and make it so that they put them thing through the prism of selfishness rather than expansion and giving and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it ruins it. So it'll take, if we elected leaders right now that were all entrepreneurs and they started culturing that generation into business speaking and finance speaking and entrepreneurship, it would take 10 years to get enough people that when they graduated knew enough about what and recognize it in their streets of that what was happening, have comfort to know that their city wasn't old school and living in archaic philosophies and whatever. I wouldn't trust it as someone coming out. I may do with it as it was, but it's not as good as other markets for sure.
Yeah. What would be nice to see too is not only the idea of the entrepreneur spirit sort of being fed, but even if someone is not that, like I'm not an entrepreneur, I've never started, I've never owned a business. I don't even really have the desire to. That's just not who I am. But even when you get to like managerial levels, you start to see this mindset of workers that, like you said, it is, what can I get? What am I owed? You should be happy that I'm coming to work in your business. So give me all these things because I'm giving you my time.
But that's taught. The culture teaches workers.
Like we don't have this idea of like, find something that you either enjoy, respect, can buy into, and want to be a part of and give to. And I'm not saying like you do all the giving and you get nothing for it, but I'm saying, where does the mindset shift happen of me, and I don't care. I'm going to stick it to the man and do what I want and just pay me. And I'm going to slack to like, I value what I do and I have value here and I want to do my best and make sure things are going well. Yeah. How do we teach that?
You don't. And that's what I'm saying. Like, you don't teach that. You're either going to receive somebody who has programming that is either pro that or not. And if all of culture is teaching that when you're a worker, you're being exploited and take everything you can and make sure you bill for no value given and they can afford it. And as long as they're the victim and you're the oppressor, right? There will never be a relationship where you have anybody that is giving more value than they're taking, because that's the goal, is to not give, it's to get more than you give.
Yeah, because that same mindset of someone working for an enormous corporation that thinks they can cut corners and take, and they're like, who cares? They're huge. It's this big corp. I'm nothing to them. This is a write-off. They can afford it. I'm going to slack. Yeah. That same mindset is in like the mom and pop shop of the small town. The like one owner and a couple of people, they're the owners. They can afford it. They can blah, blah, blah. I don't care. And it's like, how did we get to that? Did a few small egg businesses make that culture? Or is it just a spoiled culture that grew up thinking they were entitled? Because I feel like it's all ages too. Like, I can't even be like, oh, kids these days. Like, it's grown adults that feel this way. How do you break that? Or can you?
You don't. That's the theme of this show. You don't. This is, and I hate to be a nihilist. I hate to be, when I read Nietzsche as a kid, I had a lot more disagreement with the certainty of devastation, destruction, and whatever. As an adult, when I read Nietzsche, I'm a little bit more open to like, maybe this guy was kind of onto something. And it saddens me that that's my current state, is I'm more nihilistic than I once was. And I didn't change.
Yeah.
I just saw the world around me and I'm like, you're fighting math that does not work.
It used to be a bad thing to look at someone's resume and see a lot of job hopping.
Mm-hmm.
I was only here for a little bit. And you're like, oh, well, that's not a good thing, that you're not very trustworthy. You seem to, not really commit. I don't know if I can trust that I can put effort in to hiring you and training you, and then you're going to leave me high and dry. But now it's almost like we've moved into this, well, I just need to try some things out. And there's a lot of toxic work environments out there, and I don't like that. And so I move on. And it's almost like you're encouraged to be that. Like, somebody said one time, well, the resume just shows that I have a lot of experience trying new things. And I was like, you say that like it's a good thing. Mm-hmm. Like, maybe that's good for you. Maybe you feel good that, I tried that, didn't like it, tried that, didn't like it. But when it's your money, it's your livelihood, and you're taking the gamble on someone, do you want to see that or don't you?
Mm-hmm. All right, switching gears, let's talk about weed.
Weed?
Yes. Yesterday, Governor Mike DeWine was talking about putting harsh regulations on hemp products that are available without regulation. You just buy them in a store. They're in gummies and putting THC.
All those little THC edible
eights or whatever. Yeah. So separating the stuff that's regulated through a dispensary and things that are just open to the public without any kind of, regulations tied to it. Think it's a good thing or a bad thing?
To put more regulations on it?
To put more regulations on it, which that is what they're doing.
Personally. Well, all right. I guess I shouldn't say all of it. I'm biased because I hate the smell.
Okay.
I can't stand it. If there were regulations on where and when you can have that and I got to smell that crap, I'd be all for it. However, you don't have to have it in a form that stinks. There are many forms. I'm not super experienced with this. I would look at like, is it causing problems? You know, if someone has alcohol and they drive, that can be a major problem. Is the consumption of it becoming a major problem or not?
Okay.
That would be my biggest thing on whether or not to put any sort of regulations on it. Same with like children getting their hands on it. You know, alcohol's 21 and over. Do we have anything like that with THC? I would assume. So regulations to make sure no kid can just walk into a store and buy it. I don't know. That's about all I got.
Okay.
What do you think?
I have two tracks because as a libertarian, it's actually helpful when people become destructive with themselves, right? If I could take all of my competition and make sure that they were loaded up every time that I did a deal with them, I would win every single time. The dumber the community, the better advantage everybody else who's not doing that has. So it's almost
like people back in the day would have a business meeting over some brandy or bourbon, and then you get a yes.
Right. So yeah, it makes people stupid. Right.
Yeah.
And it inhibits their better senses. And so the second part of that, and the libertarian angle was, I don't like anybody telling anybody what to do. You want to do whatever you want to do, as long as it doesn't affect other people. Any regulation should only be on the effects of other people.
The safety.
So if I don't want to smell it, you can't impede on mine. So you go to a place where I don't have to smell it. You are getting behind the wheel. You can't be doing it because you then start affecting me. What you do on your own property is only your business. You want to go back there and get loaded up? I don't give a care.
Yeah,
right?
agreed.
You go out your front door. That's when it starts affecting me. Those were all the regulations should be. Now, on the other side, we spend a lot of time making really poisonous, bad things super available to people. And if you made the argument that everybody was disciplined and responsible and can handle it, then we can do more of it because our population is really good at making good decisions. If all we do is make all vices super easy, we are willingly pumping poison into tons of people that then you have to be next to. So would you trust that if we made it super available, all the bad decisions, percentage-wise, how many people in society right now that are doing important things and doing dangerous things, right, are good decision makers, where you would trust them to make a good decision?
Oh, gosh. Probably not a large percent.
Okay. I would say 80% of the people are bad decision makers. 20% are probably good decision makers. I think a percentage of that 80% are only surviving day to day because of the guardrails that smart people have put in play to keep them from being self-destructive. Yeah. And I'm talking about everything from chemical dependency, pharmaceuticals, financial decisions, driving and operating a vehicle, anything that has some personal or external consequences, right?
Yeah.
And so a majority of the people out there are managing those risks very, not great. They're not doing a good job at it.
Yeah. And I've been saying this with driving regularly. Like, I am not exaggerating when I say daily, I am in near miss accidents because of distracted drivers on their phone. It's all the time.
Yeah.
So what are we going to, okay, now go ahead and get loaded.
Yes.
Because that's going to make it better.
Yeah. So when you play these out and what you want to make more available, like we could make vitamins more available, right? Mm-hmm. And put a push on the good side of things that make people healthier and think straighter and make better decisions, right?
Yeah.
Or we can just take every vice. We can take gambling, right? We can take addictions to dopamine. We can take chemical addictions and pharmaceuticals, and taking what the heck is it called? Anyway, we can take other things that change, gender and whatnot, and really screw with the brain's ability to like even make
hormones. And
yeah. Hormones. That's what I was thinking.
Hormones.
Anyway, so So yeah, we jack with people and make everything that makes people worse, less effective, bad decision making, and load up and making those super available. And then, the vitamins and the eating right and exercising, whatever, they all become cliche where we don't even chase them.
Yeah. This is something I've even just recently started to realize, which is so pathetic. We have a lot of caffeine filled products or, what do you call it? I think it begins with a T. All these energy drinks and shots and different ways to fuel energy. And people come in and they're sitting at work and they're tired and they're like, oh, I had my coffee, but I need another coffee, or I need this energy drink, or I need whatever. Do you know, I realized the one day that I found that, hey, I wasn't dragging today and felt pretty good and I wasn't uncontrollably yawning by 2 p.m. You know what I did differently that day? I drank water. I had more water that day.
Yep.
And I was hydrated. Mm-hmm. And it's like, we don't even think I'm dragging today. I better make sure I'm hydrated. The most basic thing you can do, I better go get myself a stimulant so I can get through this. And it's big business. Big business to think, oh, you need this, you need that. We've got to artificially create something that you are trying to achieve.
Right. So I can sell you a pill that keeps you hydrated rather than you just drinking the freaking water.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Yeah. Here's a pill. Go get
Oh, you felt good when you were hydrated? Here's your pill for hydration.
Here's some injections. You could come and get an IV and we'll just pump you full of stuff. And
so the normal state,
Taurine, thank you, Jonathan.
the normal state is when you don't have to do anything additionally. So if every day you need caffeine, then it's not like if you have a headache every day and you're taking a Tylenol every day or Advil. Don't take Tylenol, please. Just don't take it. If you're doing it every day, right, you don't have a headache because of lack of Tylenol in your body, right? And what you should do is say, when you get the glimmer of you felt good that day and you found the reason for it, right? You should go backwards and figure out why you don't do that every day. And I have a headache every day. Let's see if I can figure that out and get rid of the thing that's causing the headache. I'm tired every day. Well, let me figure out why I'm tired every day. But we don't think that way. We want the quick fix and a pill type of thing. And now we have, again, this originated with the THC. So what is the, I mean, I know people who do it regularly, and I know people that they do it just like every once in a while. Mm-hmm. And the people who do it every day that aren't in chronic pain or aren't satisfying some kind of medical need, why do they do it? Like, what's the reason that you would do something like that every day?
I don't know. I have to look at this in terms of alcohol because I've only tried THC a couple of times and really got nothing from it. I don't know why people find it fun. So if I had to go to alcohol, which I have had an effect from, I think, I don't know, people are chasing some sort of dopamine hit, some sort of mental rush, this happy chemical, this fun time. Speaking, of course, not talking about people who are like addicted to it, but just the typical user. I don't know. They're trying to feel something, I guess, trying to make themselves feel less awkward, less nervous, more socially engaging, dopamine, fun, relax, like anything that they want to feel, they think must be created. I'm going to take something and make that.
Well, I remember the bill of goods that was pitched before marijuana was made legal, medical versus recreational. And I'd like to maybe put a scorecard together. And the things that were promised, the things that were delivered, and the things that they said wouldn't happen, it would be about time to see if we were sold a good bill of goods or a bad bill of goods. And what would your guess if I did that scorecard? Let me name some of the things that happened, right?
Okay.
all right, it wouldn't become an epidemic because it's not addictive. It just would help people that have chronic pain, and then you'd have to be able to self-medicate with something to help with your pain. Okay, so that would be.
You're talking about THC.
Yeah, okay. Making it, yeah. And then the hemp comes along with that, because don't you know that if we set up all of these marijuana growers, that we can make all kinds of things out of hemp? I mean, your shirts can be hemp, and buildings can be made of hemp, and your car might actually be made of hemp at one time. So the industrial, the industrial possibilities are freaking endless, right? Mm-hmm. It wouldn't affect crime at all. Like, it makes people just eat Cheetos and sit on their couch. They're going to be docile, and they're not going to cause problems.
They're too happy to go and cause problems.
Absolutely. Just on those three now. Yeah. How would you grade them based on just your experiences?
My experience, I don't think any of that is true.
None of that is true.
I don't know if everyone's able to become addicted to it, but you can't tell me no one's addicted to it. I know many people that shouldn't do it and do it and can't seem to get through their day without it. Crime, is that better?
I mean, part of the crime thing was that instead of drug dealers being able to sling marijuana, if you made it easy, you'd have less drug dealers.
Yeah.
But drug dealers were like, oh, I lost weed. What am I going to do now? Oh, I'll just go do fentanyl. Right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, now we created a better thing, got more people addicted to even harder drugs. So it wasn't a gateway to you where you didn't go from marijuana to fentanyl. But now, because you're not buying from your dealer anymore, they are creating new customers in the fentanyl and the other drugs thing. So the slippery slope just happened a little differently, but it still happened.
I'll just go to this corner store.
Right.
So then the drug dealer's like, oh, crap. Got to find something else.
And they did. And then fentanyl. So again, it was, and we were all very vocal because it only made sense exactly what would happen. And so as long as those people that were proponents of it were honest about what they were doing. Hey, we have a lot more people that like to get high, and they like to get out of their mind, and they can't do it legally, and just make it legal so those people can. And then I'm like, okay, that's honest, right? It's not going to change the world. Just be honest. The complication
I find it fun. I want to go get whatever.
Exactly.
And
then
that's
we're going to treat it exactly like alcohol, and the people who are responsible go do alcohol, and we'll have the same warnings that we do with alcohol. Just another one of those. But they went a little thick on the benefits were so changing in all of our culture that's where I was out.
Yeah. And I've always felt that way. Like I never really, I guess I kind of understood, but to me, it always made sense. Legalize it, treat it like alcohol. We have precautions on alcohol. Obviously, people can break those rules and do it, but then there are consequences. So like, hey, you driving tonight? You want anything? Have you been smoking anything? Do you take anything? Like, treat it like alcohol. Don't drive. Don't operate heavy machinery. Don't steal it. Don't give it to underage kids. I don't know why this would have ever been different other than people can make money if it's different.
Yeah. Another product you can put on the shelf. A bunch of people make money, and people want to get out of their mind and just like they do alcohol and drink in the evenings. You take a little smoke and you relax and watch some reruns of Looney Tunes or something. I don't know.
And then the only other thing I could see would be a benefit to legalizing it is then get people away from the man-made synthetic stuff that I learned the hard way is not good. Like I never tried anything that was THC. I never smoked weed or anything up until, and I'll be honest, until it was legalized. But I tried what's it called? Delta 8, Delta 9, something like that, which was legal.
Right.
Is that even THC? I don't know what it is.
Chemically, it's a variant. It's a little different so that it could pass, that it's not to the level the regulated stuff is. It's sort of like a light version that has some additives that make it different. Okay.
So I ordered that online because I was like, I want to see what everybody's into, what's high like, and it's not legal, and this is. So I ordered stuff online, and I had no business messing around with that crap. I didn't know what I was doing. I don't know dosage. Oh my God, was I sick. So if they're like, well, let's save these idiots from themselves that are going to try something else because it's legal. Let's just legalize the stuff that's probably safer than that.
Jonathan says Florida seems to make sense when it comes to this. It's card medical only. You register, can't buy a gun. You get caught with it or driving under the influence, and you spend the night in Grady Judd's bed and breakfast. So yeah, and it's what I love most about the states, especially like when Colorado was one of the first states to really do it to scale. Other states can learn about the goods and the bads, like how's it really affect the communities, like take real gauges, not as a way of having someone who's your critic going in there and trying to shoot holes in it. Just give me data about what it does to your community and see if it's a net gain or not. And if it is, then you float it like we did and whatever. So do you hear the horror stories that come out of Colorado and what's become of it since it was legalized there?
No.
All right. I give it like a neutral because there's a lot of bad that has come out. But also the economies have been, supercharged because of the money that flows in. And they were early adopters. So people would travel to Colorado just to do it legally. And then they would leave it behind and come back home and whatever. But what's the attraction to it? Like what would make me get out of bed, get on a plane, go to Colorado so I could drink a mind altering or smoke a mind altering substance? Like that is a huge attraction. Like think of the only things that we would get on a plane and go to. Would a chemical substance ever enter on that list?
I mean, like, I guess in a way you could say people do it with Vegas, but that's a high scale. You're surrounded by your gambling and your drinking and all your entertainment.
Yes,
yeah, you got all the vices.
Right.
So I could see like, oh, let's go where there's everything. But just to go for one thing,
yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't. I'd be like, I'm gonna pay all this money to go get a buzz and then come back. Like,
yeah, but that attraction scares me more than anything. Is that how much effort you would put into something that makes you dumber and dumb. I would be more interested if those same people were like, all right, what am I doing in the real world that is causing me to want to numb my brain so much? And why is it persistent? Let's try to figure the cause of that instead of finding new layers of escape. You know what I mean? It seems like the healthier thing.
Yeah. Like, why can't you engage with other people without being lit? Like, why can't you function without it? Address that rather than, well, let's talk about how I'm going to get it. Yep. How do I get my substance? Well, why do you need a substance? So you can't buy a gun if you have a medical marijuana card in Florida?
That's good logic. It really is. If you regularly put yourself in an inebriated state, I want to keep you away from the guns that require rational thinking and clear thinking.
Man, think of all the different things you could put that on. No gun purchase. So no gun purchase. Obviously, you can't get lit and go purchase one.
Oh, I see. So that if you get in a state where you're inebriated, you go buy a gun and do something stupid, they want to kind of put a little blockade. So you can have a gun. You just can't buy a gun while you have a card. I get that.
We have very lenient standards, your ground laws here. So what do they do? Just say, hey, I want to purchase a gun. Do you own a medical marijuana card? No. Here you go. Like what?
No, you do a background check. And if you're registered with the state and they compare the medical marijuana cards against your application. And if you are in that system, then you're not allowed to buy.
So by having one, then you cannot be a gun owner.
You can't buy one. You can still have a gun. You just can't buy it.
Buy it before you get your card.
Yes. Yes.
And then have it.
You're probably not allowed to have it with you while you're intoxicated, just like alcohol, but you're allowed to own it. You're giving up some of your rights when you buy that card. That's what long and short of it.
Like this much of them.
Yes.
Like this much.
Yes. Doesn't stop.
I'm gonna get a card. I'm gonna get a gun.
It's a
I just have to do it in reverse order.
One-dimensional barrier.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Let's talk about the furloughing of federal employees because this one gets me excited a little bit.
Oh, okay.
300,000 probably within the next couple of days of workers are going to be put on furlough. Federal workers, government shut down right now, so that those they're not getting paid anyway. So the executive branch is going to take the opportunity to pink slip or furlough a bunch of these federal workers.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
It sucks. That's my thought.
Why?
If it's military, obviously I can relate to that. I remember it didn't actually happen when my husband was active, but there was threat of a shutdown. And I can remember getting all these notifications of, hey, there's a chance that you won't have a paycheck coming in. Start to prepare for that. And then my husband was overseas and I'm like, put the gun down. 'Cause no, I'm not risking your life for free. So my instant thought is when I hear things like that, my brain first goes to military people that are literally putting their lives on the line for free. And to me, that's just one of the most unacceptable things I can think of. But I imagine, it's even if your life's not on the line like that, it's your livelihood and you're not going to get paid. And I can't imagine that we resort to that, but the decision makers to vote for that do.
What if you have too many federal workers and you got to get rid of them and you can't wait for something like cause? Like, what if you hired a bunch and really didn't need them and you got nothing for them to do? So they're just getting a paycheck and they're not really contributing any value. Should you not be able to shed them just because they were hired without?
Can you just shed them and not shut down the government and the people that?
Well, we'll talk about separate things because the furloughing would be just in principle, the shutdown being a different thing. Like if we took a snapshot, how much of the workforce do you think is government employee?
Oh, I don't know.
14%. So 14% of all workers in our country get a paycheck from government. Okay. That is including local, state, and also on the federal side. And so if, especially if you wanted, you want to be a job creator president, and maybe you're not real great at helping companies, expand and create natural employees, you can also go to the government checkbook and just create jobs in the government sector so that paychecks will be flowing out into the economy, even if there's not any work to be done. You don't have to justify hiring 100 federal workers and saying, well, look, all this work that's not being done, because you could just create BS work anyhow and put them on desk duty doing jobs that I can get on the private sector for $10 and a Snickers bar. And so now you create fake workers, essentially what it comes down to. So if you ever wanted to, somebody reasonable comes along and says, we just got to get rid of a lot of these things. They're people. So Elon had a great idea where they were going to buy out their contracts and give them like 8 months worth of payroll. Mm-hmm. And then they were just gone. Right. So a lot of people exited on that plan. So we got rid of a lot of those fake jobs that way. For the furloughing, I don't know that we're going to permanently lose those, because once they're furloughed, they're all going to come back when, something else happens. But if he's able to pink slip and get rid of unneeded weight in the federal government, that frees up that talent to the real workforce where companies have to figure out how to get good value out of someone where federal government doesn't care.
Could it be when I was furloughed during COVID, mm-hmm. I was working in a small office, and me and one other person were sort of furloughed, let go for 6 weeks or something. I was brought back, but the other person was not. Mm-hmm. And it was, hey, downsizing, we're going to do things a little differently. COVID changed some things, whatever their reasoning was. Right. One person was not brought back. So could they do that where they're like...
It's hard because there's no measurement in federal government. When on the private side of things, you have a product or service that you sell, and then you figure out how many people it takes to manage that product or service in your office, right? Mm-hmm. Well, the government there's really no product or service to sell. So what if they hired 100 employees and I told you what you have to do, they're not looking at it as getting a good value. They're like stowing you away just so that your money bleeds out into the economy. They can always make stuff up. Like they're not restricted like on the private side to justify it and say, you know, if you came in a board meeting and said I need to hire 2 salespeople, you're going to give me the math on what revenue that salesperson is going to create. Or if you're manufacturing or labor or whatever, you have to show me what now they can create and that what they're adding to it is greater than what it's going to cost me. The federal government's like, I'm going to hire 100,000 people. What are you going to have them do? I don't know. I'll figure it out. And then they hire 100,000 people that are collecting huge paychecks. The federal, I'm telling you, like I think the average federal salary is $109,000. Okay. Which and remember, that's directly competing with the private side of things. Right.
Yeah.
So if I had an administrator that did 3 keystrokes on a keyboard every day and paid him $109,000. And I'm private who actually needs that talented person. I'm like, I can give you $60,000. Which you're going to choose? 3 keystrokes on the government side for $109K, or actually doing a full 8 hours with me at $60,000? That's directly competing.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of when I was brought back and the other person wasn't, it literally became, well, she can do what he was doing too. We only need one person for all this.
So that gives us opportunity to cut the dead weight in federal government. But you have, the unions are going to fight to prove that they aren't dead weight and they are necessary. And all of us on this side are just like, come on, just do truth. Say we probably hired a bunch of people that the taxpayers not getting good value. Let's get rid of those people, but let's bring back the essentials. If you cut off government, right, what should you have felt by now? If you stop government at all, should you feel it a little bit more with 14% of everybody who worked there no longer doing anything?
If I made the decision to cut everybody off, I better also be wrapped in that. If I'm still getting paid and I still am like, well, I don't have to go to work today and I just get my paycheck and good luck to all of you, that makes no sense.
Well, at least the legislators who are getting paid, you can check in with the C-SPAN camera that see they are doing something, right? I want cameras on the federal workers who are making $109K and see if they're doing anything and what they're actually working on. Yeah. So the oversight of managing federal workers is not results-based or net gain-based. It is, what can we do to justify you sitting in that chair and you're not just looking at the walls, is really what it comes down to.
And now, are all these people now kind of on the phone with unemployment, getting unemployment like we did during COVID?
I don't think so. I think they get back pay. That's what the administration is fighting right now, is trying to make it so that all of this non-work that's happening, taxpayers aren't going to have to kick it in and pay these people anyway when they just basically took a 2-week vacation.
Yeah, because when everything was shut down during COVID, everybody just got on unemployment. It was a nightmare. Mm-hmm. So that's why I was like, wait a minute. Are we going to be stuck there again?
Well, where all these people are truly furloughed, if they are cut from payroll, then they can go on to state unemployment and do it that way. We'll see how it goes, because I don't think they've made any significant cuts. I think they basically just shut down operations. And if it goes longer than a couple of weeks, then you'll start seeing people hemorrhaging and going into state unemployment.
Yeah. Julie says, Trump said he may not pay some furloughed workers because they don't deserve it. Is that his choice? God, 2 totally different headlines. I just saw a headline that said Trump is fighting to get back pay for furloughed workers. And Julie read one that said Trump may not pay furloughed workers because they don't deserve it.
Should a person that's not working be paid anything? Shouldn't it be like work equals pay? So if they're at home right now, right, and they're watching TV, should they be thinking, wow, this is really great. I'm being paid to watch TV right now.
I could understand saying no. I could also understand being on the end of like, hey, I'd love to be working, but you all sent me home.
But don't you realize that when you work for the government that this could happen? Like if you live in Florida and there's signs that say hurricanes happen here sometimes, right? Yeah. Should you not prepare? Like you're making $109K, maybe 40 of that $109K is money you should be putting away because you might be furloughed because you're a government employee.
That's why radio is no longer my main job. Mm-hmm. I'll do it on the side. I'll do it here and there. But being my main source of income, oh my God. Yeah, why don't you go play Russian roulette?
That was your decision, and you need to prepare when you work for the federal government who are at the your whole job means that government can expand sometimes and government can shrink sometimes, which means I might be part of the shrinkage one day. Did you just? No, don't even.
Just going to move on past that.
Yeah.
If you present it that way, do you think it would be harder to find government employees? If you say, hey, by the way, here's a great job with great pay and great benefits, but you should know you're almost always kind of near the chopping block.
Good.
And you could lose this at any time.
Well, that's how
do you think you'll have a hard time finding
the world used to work that way, right? Mm-hmm. It was through that competition and through the benefit of, right, is how you attract employees. So if I put a job in the paper and I said, government employee, you do about 1 hour worth of work every day, great benefits, and it's $109,000. How many people do you think would take that job? You have 100 openings. How many applicants you get for the 100 jobs?
Great benefits and $109,000?
Yes.
Probably a lot.
So you get 10,000 people that would want that job.
Yeah.
Well, you know what happens in the marketplace when you have an oversupply of something? You reduce it to 60,000 and maybe 8,000 of those people are like, okay, now it's not enough. And you keep lowering it until you match up that you have 100 job openings and you have 100 people. If I floated that same thing on the private side, I wouldn't start with $109,000 to try to buy that experience. I would know what the market was and set my rate based on what the market was.
And high money means high risk, I guess.
Exactly. So and then if it's like, okay, the job function that you're doing is equal to a person that's doing dispatch at a trucking company. They pay you $45,000. We're going to pay you $45,000. But unlike that trucking company, there's some risk here because we might shut down. So what I'm going to do with you, I'm going to give you $15,000 more dollars. So instead of 45, you make 60. What I want you to do is put the 15 away so that if any political prankings go on here and you're off work for a half year, stow that money away because I'm giving you more so that you're not my responsibility if the thing that is likely to happen happens. We're both prepared. That's how the real negotiation happens.
If that were negotiated and laid out in the beginning, sure.
Yeah. But in government, it's like, oh, $109,000, let's just float it over to you and then pretend like we're even playing the same game as we do on the private
Meanwhile,
side.
you can work from home. You could show up here and there. You could do whatever you want.
Yeah. And Elon's "what did you do today" question was the most important question because half those people would be insulted that you even asked it because they don't have a real good answer.
Oh, yeah. There was like, but I came here today and you owe me for that.
Yep.
Julie says, I didn't see a headline. I watched the clip of him saying that. Good. Because my point is, and I've heard other people say this, we don't hate the media enough. Go see two totally different stories based on who wrote it. Was my point.
Yeah, I believe that the big attempt with the OMB is to cut ties with half. I'm guessing 50% of the workforce is what I would cut.
OMB?
Yeah.
What's that?
It regulates the budget and spending and employees. Let me give you the full.
The OMB. Is that a dumb question? Does everyone know what OMB is?
Okay, so let's see what they're responsible
Office
for.
of Management and Budget. Gotcha.
Okay, formulates, oversees the development of the president's annual budget request submitted to Congress. So basically, they're the bean counters of the
auditors
in the executive branch that spend and distribute the money after it's been authorized by Congress. So they would have an interest in finding, like, you want to buy an airplane, it goes through OMB to make sure that it's a justified expense, so we get a good value from the vendor, et cetera, et cetera. So if someone's going to give taxpayers a good value for the money we're spending, it'll be that office.
But does it feel like there could have been a lot more vetting done maybe to not get to where we now have to have like mass cuts because we have a bunch of people working for no reason at all?
That's a good question. And it's the same parallel with Joe Biden let in 20 million illegal immigrants. And now we have to, it wasn't vetted. Right. And now we have to clean it up and get rid of the some that shouldn't be here. if Joe Biden hired 1 million federal workers to add to the jobs reports, we got to get rid of some of the ones that he did. So he did it on purpose.
All we do is fight over how to clean up a mess instead of how do we not get the mess.
That's exactly right. And a next president could just come and hire, 20 times the amount of federal workers again. Nothing's stopping them from that.
Because then I look good. Look at all this hiring I did. And you're going to look bad because you're the one who has to fire them.
And when they do a jobs report, they will actually parse out the government jobs. They will, because people who invest in the marketplace, they look at the jobs report as the expansion in the authentic marketplace, where if I hired employees, it's because I grew. In government, it's got its own gravity, right? And so when it adds jobs, it's like, well, they didn't have to do that, or they could have done that. That means
so
nothing.
We're not going to hear one day, look at all the jobs we lost that were the federal employees.
Yeah. So 50% of, I think 50% of all federal employees could be gone tomorrow and nobody would notice. And all of the essential functions of government would be just fine. Why do you think they go into territories that government has no business in? Why they're exploring, all of this crazy legislation, all of these crazy environmental deals? Because you got a bunch of bored people that need to do something. So when they start dabbling in that chaos, they bring it back as if it's real world. Where if it was in the public side, you would never put an employee on a meaningless task to dig up feel-good emotional things that have no impact or utility in the marketplace. It's just silly.
Yeah. And like I always say that I hate the unemployment system so much. It does nothing but screw people over. It's the most unorganized, ridiculous thing I've ever had to deal with. And if anybody said all of these employees are going to be laid off and not paid and not be brought back, I'd be like, good. I can't think of a better position to cut or penalize than the idiots that work in the unemployment system. I don't know if have you ever had to file for unemployment?
I had to manage it for our company, so it was even worse.
Oh my God. Yeah, I'm still to this day fighting with people in the unemployment office in the state of Alabama because they made a mistake in 2020. They are just now saying, oops, we made a mistake and we want money from you for it. Do y'all know you didn't even give me money? And you made a mistake, but somehow I owe you for, like, what are you, bored today? Are you losing money? You need to come after someone? Is that what we're doing? And it's the biggest cluster of ridiculous misinformation and errors I've ever seen in my life. So when people are like, oh, these people are going to lose their jobs, I was like, I don't have sympathy for some. Because if we could wipe that out, that'd be great.
And you would have far less of those people that were like, if you never went to a government agency for anything, you'd be better off. So shrinking that down so that we don't have daily interactions with government, because government is terrible. Right?
Yeah.
They don't have a soul. I don't know if you've ever tried to talk to somebody and get sympathy from someone else. They don't give two.
Oh, they
don't
deal
care how
with hundreds of you a day.
No, they do not care.
Oh yeah.
And so the smaller and less impact they have, the better. So what if they shut government down forever? So the government shut down of not all non-essential activities, right? What if we were just like, I don't mind this. Let's just keep the government as only all essential things and all non-essential are just disbanded. Would that be bad?
Yeah. I mean, even when I was brought back to that job after the furlough and they said, okay, you're coming back to work. They're like, hey, by the way, like, why don't you go and fix their issue? They owe you money and you can get back pay. And I was like, well, why don't I go ride a unicorn? Like, what a waste of time. Mm-hmm. Just get me back to work so I can get a paycheck rather than fight with a bunch of idiots that clearly don't know what they're doing and don't care.
Exactly. Don't put them in charge of things. They're absolutely stupid.
Yep.
Okay, so the next jump, and this, I'm actually hopeful for this because in some ways I already warned everybody that it's a scary thing and it's disruptive. But when AI and automations just start en masse taking over jobs that people shouldn't even be doing, machinery should absolutely be doing those jobs. So if you start this onset of hemorrhaging government employees, and then you start hemorrhaging on the private side when people get replaced with technology, that represents a whole lot of the 165 million jobs that exist right now might lose 10% of them every year for the next 10 years. So then you have those groups of people. If I hatcheted 300,000 people and we sent them out to find new things to do, what the heck are you going to do with those people? What are they going to do? Because that's clamoring for, do we right now we're still in good shape because we have more jobs than we do people. We have lots of vacancies everywhere. So those people coming out of the public side and getting into the private side, that will actually make businesses be able to scale because you'll have access to talent, right? So that in the short term, you'll see actually, even though we've had those layoffs, we'll actually have probably business growth on the other side, but followed up by hatcheting off even people that are in the regular private. So if I'm an employer and I got 1,000 people and I know AI can do most of the jobs out there, like who am I going to get rid of first? And I'm going to say the least productive in your workforces are going to be Gonzville. Those are the dope smokers, by the way. Last night they were just taking the potheads, right? You can send them home and they're gonna be like, okay, I'm cool. And now they're at home. They have nothing. Now what do you do with them? That's the question.
Have you heard about the AI actress?
Yes.
How do you feel about that?
I love it. Oh, I love it.
You're going to say that. I don't love it.
I love it.
I don't love it. So anyone who doesn't know, I can't remember her name either. Begins with a T also. Tilly, Terry, something. I don't know. They, whoever they is, have created an AI actress and are looking to actually make a film starring this actress who is not a real human being.
She's been licensed 5 times already.
What does that mean? To be used?
In movies, yes. So the production company goes to them and they buy a license to use all of the geometry, all of the presentation, all the graphics and images and sound, and then they script it, right? Yeah. Now they're licensed to use
so instead of like, hey, I'm going to work with Nicole Kidman here, or I'm going to work with Halle Berry here, I'm going to work with Tilly, what her name is.
Yeah, she will be appearing in at least 5 movies because it's already been licensed.
Now, obviously, real actors in Hollywood are anti this. They don't like the idea. They're asking people, please don't support and encourage this.
I will watch it twice.
Why?
Absolutely twice.
Why?
Because it's where things are headed. And I think, there's going to be a segment of the population that want true authentic. So the genre of real people, right? You'll be catered to.
Yep.
And when it's in competition, when I can put a movie together at about 1/10 of the budget because I don't have to pay a real actor and build a real set, and the viewer can't even really distinguish the difference between mine and yours, and then you have to pay it, well, you're going to have to charge a little bit more for the Kelins to show up because it costs so much more in comparison to the lower dollar product.
But don't we always say how shopping local could cost a little more, but it's the right thing to do to support your local economy? Or, it's so frustrating dealing with these government employees because they don't care about you. They have no soul, I think you said. So why would you be okay taking the cheaper, easier route of using AI?
Well, because I don't like them very much. That whole industry. They're coddled, self-important, worshipped by a bunch, and I want to see them lose all of that advantage for sure. Gonzville.
So it's okay with you if it's something you don't like.
If I don't like it, yeah.
But you're like, I like that industry. I don't want
where I think it. Like if you take all the actors and actresses and the impact that they have on society and their real skill and creativity, and if they're good people and they do something, you're going to have a list of whether I think they're mostly bad or mostly good. And I think they're mostly bad. Okay. And just take any actor that went through something where we got to publicly wander through those things. Were they just being normal people and being good people? No, they're total jackholes that are causing all kind of destruction and devastation. They're not even really good people.
How do you feel about Keanu Reeves?
Keanu's a good dude. I'd keep him.
We hear all good things about Keanu Reeves.
I keep Keanu.
So if Keanu Reeves came to you and said, Joe, they're about to replace me with these AI stuff.
No, I'm going to say join Kelin's genre of real people actors, and I'll come see one of your movies and even pay a higher price for you specifically.
And you're going to tell Keanu, but I'm also going to go support this artificial crap being made.
It's the same thing with AT&T used to do this, right? AT&T took us for granted, and they abused us when they had the power to abuse us. When I was advertising in the very onset, Yellow Pages ads were essential.
Back in my day, we had phone books.
Phone books. You know how much an ad costs on a phone book?
No.
Okay, so I had you had full page ads and you had little ones like this. This one was $660 per month.
Oh my God!
Right? So I got published once a year, and you paid almost $6,000 or over $6,000 for that year to have that ad. Why did they do it?
Why did they do it? I had to be a phone book salesman.
Why did they do it?
Because you'll pay it.
Because people shopped using the phone book, and if you wanted to be in there, it could have been $50, but it was $660. They were not adding value to it. It was printed. It didn't cost them anymore. And guess what happened? People started looking up phone numbers different, and the ads that got cheaper. That same ad, like I carried that ad for about 10 years. There were a couple letters that were trying to, because I stopped doing it. They sent me a copy of my ad and say, we're willing to do this for $25 a month, right? And I was like, no, things have changed. And then they're like, we'll give it to you for free. And I said no to the free one. So how did we go from 660 when they had me over a barrel to then me not even, I would not give them a penny. I would say, take it out of the inflated price when it was $660 and pay it and give it to me for free and see how it is. So actors and actresses and athletes, they get to a point where they take for granted the really easy gig that they have.
What about we're going to go back to, is it an easy gig? But what about the people that aren't the actors and actresses, the makeup artists employed because of them, the designers and the costume designers employed because of them, lighting people employed because of them, editors, like there's a whole crew, catering, on set builders.
Right.
It's an entire industry that aren't just that actor or actress.
Yeah, they did it. They played the wrong game. They got to change it now.
And why do you think it's easy? You've never heard of like a starving actor, someone trying to get into the business and how hard it is?
Getting there isn't easy.
For years and years.
Getting there isn't easy. And I wouldn't choose that one now. So what do you think?
Even being in it, like why are actors and actresses always getting divorced and they can't have long-term relationships and they can't start families?
Because they're spoiled bitches who
always moving and always on the road.
Yeah, they're abnormal. They've got a good gig, and sometimes the frictions of regular life keep you grounded.
Don't you feel like we're kind of saying, "Oh, must be nice to somebody that worked for something"?
No. Listen, why are actors paid what they are? Why does someone get a $20 million paycheck for being on the screen and the grip makes $45,000?
Because they can bring the money in.
Okay, because viewers will tune in to see that guy, that personality, that whatever. The whole value is the person that's. So you have two things here: your image, and then your ability to read a script. Which is important? Which is more valuable?
I mean, I feel like your image probably becomes more valuable because of your ability.
Not because of your ability. It's because of the people who will then see a movie because it's you that's on the screen.
Why is it that the head of a company can make more money than the people below him making sure he looks good and running the day-to-day and keeping it? The same answer. It's the image.
The value of a CEO is the things that the CEO can do for that company. And when you take a person, let's just take a $60,000 person, put them in the same job, could they do it? So the comparison is what you have to pay to get the function of what you're there. And you have to know what that function is. So an actor's function, could I go to local playhouse here, pick someone who is very proficient, very good at acting, and put them in a movie and do the same job that Keanu Reeves does? Same job. From a technical standpoint, nailed it. Mannerisms were perfect. Script reading was perfect. They showed up every day. Could they do it? Are they then worth $20 million for Keanu Reeves? So there's going to be a difference. The utility of the function, right? And then the image and what that person, single person brings to it. So if I brought that person just from my local theater who can nail the position, but it's not Keanu Reeves, I'm not paying him $20 million because when the billing says John Smith is going to do this part, there are going to be less people to show up that movie because I didn't say Keanu Reeves is showing up for that part. So they are paid because of who will watch it. If I develop an AI and people get to know my AI and what they look like and what they're doing, and I basically emulate it, I mimic it perfectly, and people show up because my AI actress shows up, aren't they not the same $20 million value as the real person?
I mean, I guess that's if people show up.
That's exactly right.
And you don't have all these people that are like, no, that's fake. I want
you have a couple of those, but it's really from an entertainment. We've already traversed that with what we're willing to accept on the fake side of things.
So let's say we do away with athletes and you watch basically a video game every Sunday, and it's
a great analogy.
AI teams playing on a virtual screen. It's not real. Are you tuning in?
For football, I am, because I follow the actual players, and I've played video games, and it's not a 1-for-1. That is the deal. If I can tell, and I know, like if I watched a CGI produced football game, would I be able to tell that I wasn't watching something? Right, something that was.
Yeah.
I would absolutely. Now, even if I watch a game live and then I watch like one that I recorded, I'm not watching an old game. I already know what happens. There's no thrill of the competition. If I can look up the results, I absolutely look up the results. So it's not the same thing. But if I can't tell, okay, all right, so Avatar was all CGI, but it had voice actors, right? And so we heard the voice actor. We knew, even though their image was being generated, right, there's still a person behind that actor. What happens if in one of the avatars, they just make all of the reads just a computer-generated voice? Would you then be able to tell and know that, well, no, this is just a cartoon?
Yeah, I probably couldn't tell.
You wouldn't be able to tell.
I couldn't tell. I couldn't know.
Right. It would be no different. So it's a way. You can argue that it's a waste to have a voice actor to do something if it doesn't put more butts in the seats, right? And it costs more than to have a computer do it.
But if somebody came to me and said, AI is taking over, we're no longer hiring real people, everything that was a computer, I might say, well, then I'm not supporting it.
Right. And we tried that, like Amazon, right? Amazon became more convenient, became less costly. And even though we say, I hate buying from Amazon, we still have a pile of it on our porch.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, that's why it's going to happen, because our that emotion that says we need to do the right thing will never. Like if you come see my movie, it only costs $1 because it was all computer. My budget was $50,000 worth of programming time that an AI slapped together, and it's as good as the movie that cost you $500 million to produce. So it's $1 to come in. Would you pay more for the one that had people in it, or would you say, I need to take my kids somewhere and it was cheap and it's convenient?
And I feel like too, you got to sort of look at then what it slides into, like. Amazon, is it cheap stuff that you can get delivered to your house? Yep. Are you still annoyed if doesn't get delivered, doesn't show up, shows up broken, isn't what you ordered, and they don't care?
Right.
They're making money anyways. Like, how many times did someone say, I tried to deliver it, but you didn't. I didn't get my thing, and now you just made this hard. I don't care. So if it starts getting lazy and things start going by the wayside and it's no longer a very good product, then do we all say, why don't we just have real actors doing this?
Like that will be a percentage of people who will be same reason why people buy vinyl records right now. You have this group of people who think it's better, right? But it's harder and it's not as good. I mean, relatively, it's not as good as a process. And you say, okay, I have MP3s that are not real things and they're just virtual music and it's easy and it's cheap. I'm going to put both in front of you, and you can have a grouping of people who are like, I'll never buy an MP3. I'm all about vinyl. Okay. But a majority of the people are like, no, it's MP3. It's so freaking easy and so cheap. I'm doing that one.
So Julie says,
yeah.
Off topic, because I'm curious. Kelin, are you watching the Ed Gain story? What do you think? I am. Are you watching this?
No.
So I just started, though. I'm only one episode in. I just saw the very first episode. I'm a big Charlie Hunnam fan. I love Charlie Hunnam. That's why I'm watching it. I also like Laurie Metcalf, who's playing his mother. So when I saw that both of them were in this, I was like, ooh, let me see. It's creepy. It's Halloween time. I'm going to watch it. But here's what's interesting. Again, only being one episode in. Have you ever found yourself watching a movie where you're kind of like sympathizing or rooting for the villain?
It happens a ton. And
yeah, I feel like this is kind of that. Now, obviously, when it gets a little more gruesome, I'll probably feel that way less and less. But it is interesting when they do these stories where they kind of dive into the psyche of somebody who did something horrific, and you're like, oh my God, no freaking wonder. Like, look at all these people just made him a total nutcase, combined with him just being a total nutcase. But Julie, are you watching it? What do you think? Are you into any of that stuff? Because there's Ed Gein. I just saw they're going to now do Monster with Lizzie Bordeaux or whatever her name is. There's one, what's the guy from American Horror Story did Jeffrey Dahmer. Not into those people? Mm-mm. Why not?
Well, what's the phenomenon, especially women are attracted to those things? What is it about?
That's becoming more and more popular. I would not say I'm one of those women, actually. I'm not super into just like the crime documentaries and gruesome stuff. I really don't want to surround myself with that. Honestly, I'm into this one because I love Charlie Hunnam. Okay. And it's interesting.
Okay.
But it is interesting. Yeah, a lot of people. Julie says, I love Charlie Hunnam, but my son said, Mom, don't watch it. You will get sick. Yeah, like some women are real into that, like just crime and creepy things. I know someone who is, but she said she reads about it. She can't watch anything. She can only read about it, but she doesn't want to actually see it. Okay. Which is fascinating. Carter says, to the haters, how about an attaboy to President Trump for brokering peace in the Middle East?
If this dude on Friday does not get awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, I already have no respect for the Nobel Peace Prize, but I will be floored.
This dude being Trump?
Trump.
So what I read is they've taken a step towards ending it. What is the step exactly?
So what they basically did is they did the hostage exchange. So there's no more human capital being leveraged. Okay.
So that has been, I heard they were going to.
And then Israeli forces are going to move back from their positions right now. And the promise is that there are no more terrorist activities. Okay. So if we move, we're not going to move fully out. We're going to test to see how serious, and we're going to move our lines back. And we're going to see if peace is possible here. It means you're not going to lob things at us. You're not going to shoot at us. You're not going to blow stuff up. Okay. So that first step is just seeing how sincere the deal is. Do you know why it's not going to work?
Why?
Because in that part of the world, you have interests that want it to continue and not want to continue. So if the whole deal is predicated on no more action, all it takes, do you trust Hamas at all anyway? Hamas is probably not a good broker. They lie a lot because why not? And all it's going to take is one dude who doesn't like this agreement. All they got to do is mortars are everywhere. Weaponry is everywhere. So he runs up to the front line, hits a mortar, it gets shot off. And now all of Hamas is now responsible for continuation of the violence. So unless you can tell me that Hamas, who's a terrorist organization, is going to do the right thing, and they convinced all of the participants in there,
people in check.
Yeah. Good luck with that one.
How is it? Do you know anything about how Trump got to this, or what is being offered as incentive to make them want?
It's gotten so damn convoluted. Like I lost track of where we were even at.
Yeah,
we went from we're going to wipe everything out to blowing up buildings to hostage deal. So like there's been so much that hasn't been said publicly. I want to see what happened over the last 30 days because it has been dead silent. You haven't heard a lot of attacks, or you haven't heard a lot of the humanitarian efforts going on there, because that was a disaster. Israel's trying to get a humanitarian aid, but then Hamas was stealing the aid and selling it on the black market to fund their stuff because their resources got. So this doesn't feel like there are two people that saw, a goodness light and decided, okay, we're going to stop doing all of the terrorism here. So I'm waiting.
You think he deserves a peace prize?
Yes, 100%. He was integrated in 7 peace agreements being signed in the first 200 days of his presidency. If that isn't the definition of Peace Prize, a person who went on the sole obligation to end wars and sign peace treaties, my goodness, like, I don't know what else is.
Julie, my Charlie Hunnam loving friend, do you think Trump deserves the Nobel Peace Prize?
Do you know your answer already?
I'm just waiting.
Do you know it?
I think I know what she's going to say.
Do you? You want to make a prediction? Or
I don't know. She could say, he's doing this, but, or she could say, that's not what happened. This isn't because of him. I don't know. Or she might say, I don't know. I'm watching Ed Gein. Watching Monster.
Yeah, she might bow out of it. It would be a smart deal just because liberals' heads will explode if Trump wins the Nobel Peace Prize. So that's the reason I think he's not going to win, because
who votes on who gets that?
There's a committee.
Who's the committee made up of?
That's a good question. I don't know.
I think that's going to determine who gets it. Do you feel like most awards are not what was done, but who the voting committee is?
Yes.
Man, I saw that so much when I was a part of like the local business area for an old job, when I was like really involved in chambers of commerce and things of that nature. And you see all these people winning awards for different things, leadership awards and all that. And I'm just like, you know why it's the same people all the time? Because we're the ones playing. Like, it's just,
do you know the history?
Our own award.
Do you know the history on the Nobel Peace Prize?
No.
Alfred Nobel? Okay. Trump is perfect for this winning because
Julie responded, by the way. Okay. Julie says, if it happens, he gets an attaboy from me.
Well, good job, Julie. See, that's why I love Julie. Reasonable.
I know. That's why I said I'd love to hear what Julie says, because she's not a crazy person.
Okay, so here's what happened to Alfred Nobel.
Okay.
Alfred Nobel invented dynamite. And at the time, there was a lot of loss of life because of the invention that he made. He was tagged onto it and held responsible for death and devastation that came with
dynamite.
Yeah, he invented dynamite.
Wow.
And so he was assailed as being a villain, but he made a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
And so what he did was he invented a prize that would soil his name. And the guy now was the inventor of dynamite, but he was the guy in pursuit of rewarding people who pursue peace, because dynamite is a very destructive deal. It's used in things that can injure and blow up your enemy's shack and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, Trump is a great candidate for that, because he too was assailed from historical actions that he didn't want to be remembered for, or didn't want people to hit him with, and whatever. So it's a good parallel between those two. Very unpopular people in their time invented a thing to unblemish their name. And if it means signing 7 peace accords or being instrumental in them to then be a peace president.
So if I made a nuclear bomb.
Yes. Oppenheimer.
And then I made an award for everyone that convinces people not to use nuclear bombs and instead to have world peace.
Yes.
I get to award you that.
Yes. And you'll forever, because it's a yearly thing, your name will be brought up not as a destroyer and a killer, but as the person who awards a peace
it's the best
Nobel
rebranding.
100%. That's why I thought it was brilliant.
He just rebranded himself.
Yeah.
I did not know that. That's kind of funny. And no matter what you do, you could just turn it around and you can have a whole new identity.
What's awesome about history, it was slower and it was more, I don't know, you have to dig a little bit to be able to get to details. But today makes more sense when you see historically what human beings have always done. Who they are and what they've done. We're just faster versions of it that have more ability to affect our environment. So where someone was a bad person and can only affect, a mile out from us, here you have a devastating person and they can affect the entire world. And that one ends up being the difference.
Yeah. I was listening to somebody the other day talking about, do we think we are more divided than ever, or do we just know about it?
We are not any different. We are human beings and have always been.
Yeah. We have the same issues, the same problems, the same thoughts, the same arguments. They're just in your face all day, every day. We know what everybody's thinking. And then we throw into that this platform that is social media, where you find out what everybody's thinking, and then you put in false generated misinformation with that and false posts. So now you think people are thinking that, but they may not be. It's fake.
Sentiment was better because you only had access to 3 channels and a couple of newspapers. So what you knew about the world was dependent on the 4 choices that you have.
Yeah.
Right? Today, you feel worse about things because you could literally know everything about anything. So if you take a historical character, pick anybody from 20s to 50s, right? And what are they known for, right? You probably know one thing about them. If you take someone from current, you could know everything about them.
Yeah. Look at the shooter, was it Minnesota, the Catholic school that got, I'm not kidding. In 15 minutes, the world knew everything about him. Everything. His background, his name, what his name used to be, who his parents are, where they work, what his motivation was, what he was doing, what he was like in school, everything. So I think it's just changed. I had a question. What was it? Oh, back when it was just 3-4 news organizations or outlets for information, and that was it. Do you think they were more trustworthy organizations, or were they still just, sort of in the pocket
just as bought? I think we had a more patriotic element. So instead of it being that I was a Republican or a Democrat, it was things that they unblemished a lot of people, like Martin Luther King, for the sake of we wanted to be proud of our country. We wouldn't take a bad thing and want the whole world to know about it, because our enemy at the time wasn't internal. It was Russia or Soviet Union at the time. And so we were fighting against people who, like, if we said more great things about us, we were competing against the villain over there who's terrible and awful. Part of me says, like, at the time when I thought the Soviets were bad, what if they weren't as bad as they were? What if it was our misinformation in our media was feeding us all bad things coming out of the Soviet Union, and they didn't do half the stuff that we knew them to have done? Right? What did we, in their newspapers at the time, when they told their people about how villainous we were, what if they know about us totally different than what I experienced as being a person here? So it's more in the void is what the misinterpretation was back then. Now it's a misinformation is the misinformation.
Yeah.
Of today.
Not only that, but you get pummeled with anything. So, like, imagine hearing JFK had an affair with Marilyn Monroe. How long do you think people dwelled on that? Versus if that news broke today, what do you think would happen with that? Through social media, through whatever? You would have to be in your face more often.
But you would have to pick something more taboo today, because that we're so it happens all the time.
Yeah, no, that wouldn't be as jaw-dropping. But would you hear about it more? Would you be seeing it more? Would you be would opponents be able to throw that in their face more? Could they use it more?
It wouldn't become part of pop culture, where the Marilyn Monroe thing did, because, like, you lived in the, Leave It to Beaver times where that was a big story. Now it pales as being a big story because there are 5,000 other big stories that happened in that same day. So it wouldn't think about it this way. If you had a press pool for for the president, and the things that came out of there were still some bulldogs there, but you know what? The writings didn't happen. Like, it wasn't bad news coming out of that press pool every day, but when they got a bad one, it made headlines, because they don't usually get that. It's usually fluffy stuff and informational stuff.
Made headlines for sure, but do you think it also could die quicker then? People could move on quicker.
Because it's not unique.
Like, I think now anything taboo is just going to be this talking point for eternity, whereas back then it was like headline breaking news, oh my god, now we all move on with our lives.
We were equally as addicted to it, but since there weren't as many of them, that they lived longer in the news cycle.
Hmm.
So I want to do my first criticism of South Park that I've ever done. I have always been a fan of the genius that is South Park. I think Trey and Matt are two of the best comedians, and has been shown with how they've been adopted into the marketplace for as long as they have.
Yeah.
These last 5 episodes of this season have gotten so monotonously boring.
Oh no.
Telling the same joke over and over again. It went from comedy to just downright activism.
Beating a dead horse.
Of all of the things you could sample out of what's happening in today, and you hit the same 3 jokes and recycle them over and over and over again. By the 5th time, by the 10th time, it's not the same product that it once was.
Do you think, though, that they're kind of banking on that in this climate, that's just what is going to get them the attention and the money?
No, it's going to work opposite. What I used to like about Saturday Night Live and late night television is they lampooned everyone. And if you wanted to make powerful people get hit, it was fun to watch. And so when your guy was a jerk or their guy was a jerk, it became part of the joke session of the night. It was fun to watch because everybody got hit. Mm-hmm. Now, when it's like, you know what, we're going to insulate one side from the joke telling and we're only going to go after one, it becomes unfunny because now you have to target. It's target rather than spreading. We make fun of anybody and nothing's off limits.
Like there's got to be a joke there.
Yes.
I always used to say, like, I like comedians that are funny, and I don't care what kind of humor they have. They can have dark humor, clean humor. They can swear. They can not swear. I don't care. I don't get offended if a comedian uses a curse word, but there's got to be a joke.
It's got to be funny. Yeah.
If they're just saying curse words for shock value, I'm like, that's not funny. And I'm not offended. I'm not like, oh, you shouldn't use that language. I'm just like, where's the joke? It's not funny. So when they're like, oh, here's a little political agenda and we made a funny joke about it, there's a joke. But has it become just, here's the political agenda and another political agenda? Well, the
fun part of South Park was that when you saw something in the real world, you could point at it and say, I can't wait to see what South Park does with that.
Yeah.
And it's all of the current events are missing except for the same joke that I've noticed 2 months ago. Like they're going to have a field day with XYZ, right?
Yeah.
And then once they do that one, you're looking for the next XYZ, but they're stuck on the first one and they just keep retelling that joke. That's why it's like,
what's the joke? What are they? I haven't watched South Park in forever.
I'm going to try to put this in words that
are non-biased.
Yeah. Sorry, Julie, plug your ears for a second.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so President Trump is having a sexual affair with Satan. Okay, they and JD Vance is a really short, really plump, like almost ethnic speaking, devious villain working against Trump. Okay, and now, spoiler alert! Don't listen if you haven't seen the episode.
Spoiler alert!
Trump and Satan are having a baby. Right, and they had anal sex, which then Satan is pregnant, and now all of a sudden JD Vance walks into the office and tells Trump, he starts delivering baby gifts that everybody are bringing them, and JD Vance is telling them how everybody's going to start paying attention to the baby, and it's going to take all the attention off of you and whatever. So then Trump is trying to get a miscarriage to happen by putting Satan in all kind of positions where feeding him plan B, tripping him down the stairs, like doing all these things to get the baby aborted. So that's
so he doesn't lose the attention.
Yeah.
And they've just been
every episode.
On that?
Every episode is that.
Trump, is every episode Trump trying new things?
No.
Oh,
it's been
funny.
Like that. The joke is, Trump is courting and in love with Satan. Great joke, right?
Yeah.
But it's a continuation of that. That's the non-funny part.
Now it's not funny anymore.
No.
Did you ever find out? Was it South Park that pulled an episode recently?
Well, they delayed it because that's why I was excited. They delayed it because new things happened, and so they kicked the development down so that they can include the new developing stuff in that episode.
Okay, so it wasn't. There were rumors that it was a Charlie Kirk joke, and in light of what happened, they pulled it for a while.
Yeah, I doubt it. So really, and nothing in it warranted that, because it was the same dumb joke about Trump and Satan, and then they had Polymarket that was part of the joke where they were betting on things in the school's fifth graders, and then Kyle's mom, who's a very outspoken Jew.
Yeah.
The bet was that whether or not she herself was going to attack Gaza, and missed it being all that funny, but whatever.
I have to go back to watching this.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it in so long.
But I used to love it so much, and now it's just meh.
Now they're just sellouts.
So let me give you the spoiler for next week, and it's going to be about Trump having a sexual relationship with Satan, and him maybe having the baby, and the baby, the reveal. What's the baby going to be? Because I know there's going to be a joke, and then it's probably going to be like Mike Johnson's ass or something like that. So.
Oh yeah, the baby.
The baby's going to be somebody.
Yep,
they're going to pull a personality that they want to hit.
I just thought of some
Satan spawn.
I'm not going to say it, but I thought of a way.
There's a lot of dot. Who would be the best Satan spawn joke?
Punchline. My prediction is they do an episode where he tries to give Satan Tylenol for his pregnancy. I bet you they're going to do that.
Man,
if they do, I'm going to say, called it. I called it.
Okay. All right.
We'll have to see.
I think the next week's main punchline joke is going to be the Satan spawn is somebody who they also think is Satan spawn.
Okay. So. If they somehow weave Tylenol in there, you got to let me know.
Give it to them.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll catch you next time.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this show on Youngstown Studio. This is original Youngstown content. Feel free to share our videos and tell your friends about us. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook.